another question. We got one right here in the front, Erna.
I just wanted to know if, because of the altitude of it, we're going to stick with the cinematography, if you had difficulties with your equipment.
Well, I'd like to say the equipment is really challenging, but in fact, equipment generally works better than a human body. And it really, the equipment, there's a long list of things that we do, but I do the mountain filmmaking a lot, and so we have good systems and solar panels to charge our batteries and ways to keep cameras dry. And it's second nature in a sense to make these things happen and to try to focus on the story and what's going on with people. As you know, I still see that where we struggle to get the shot in some places, but
yeah, but you're standing outside of a cliff. You know?
Yeah. We've got one right here in the middle, off to the side. You want to speak really loudly?
Yes. I know the movie Everest well. I've used it many times, and so I know you had lots of stories with the team that was helping the climbers. So could you say a bit about how you brought that team together, or who was chosen for the team, and how you stay focused on just the veteran stories, because their stories are really powerful too. The guides that were helping.
Yeah, that would be another movie. We're doing the sequel next year. First the Sherpas, because they're probably more important than the guides. No, but the way that the team came together was a good friend of all of ours from the 2001 climb with Eric Weinmeier, Jeff Messner, was part of an organization called World Team Sports, who does bike rides with veterans. And so when we were commemorating our 10 years, we wanted to do something to give back, because a lot of us have gotten so much from climbing in the mountains and what it's given to us in our lives and our careers. And so Jeff was working with these veterans and had just powerful experiences. And so it was a beautiful combination, because we were able to really get behind it and to do this climb with the veterans. And we put the word out, and we sought people out and found a team that would work. And we did trainings, and some people weren't ready for it, but overall, like Don said, it was like, boy, what a great group of characters. As a filmmaker, that was as good as it gets. They're really fun.
They have a Soldiers to the Summer too. They have going on, which they have mentors. They've taken a couple of people from the high ground, and they're mentors for the follow-on. And it's, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, there's a continuation. The Everest team is taking another group to Cotopaxi in Ecuador to climb coming up, and so it's a continuing process with the same group of guides from Everest and Eric Weinmeier. And there are a lot of other organizations doing this idea of bringing veterans into the wilderness and doing really challenging things, whether it's whitewater, horseback riding, just anything that gets them outside into a place where they can feel a little bit of that raw energy of the wilderness and the risk, and sort of an analog for combat that's maybe less destructive. But,
the soldiers that were in this particular film,
do we still keep in touch with them? Yes. As a matter of fact, still inviting each other to each other's weddings. A lot of us have moved on. I just newly married myself.
Oh, thank you.
Married. Yes, we still keep in touch. And as a matter of fact, this film it still has, you know, it's got us a lot in touch. Because remember, because a lot of us got out of the military, that this was our closeness after we got out. This was our tightness. This was our last thing as veterans, at least at the time. And so, of course, we keep in touch.
Over here on the other.
What was your, how many days from Kathmandu to the peak?
How many days from Kathmandu to the peak?
Well, yeah, I think the base camp was 16,000 feet, and I think we've tracked it about 11 days. The summit day was like maybe the 11th day. We flew to Lukla and trekked from there. So the typical Everest base camp trek, except that right there at Dugla, we took a left and went up to the 16,000 foot base camp and did the climb 2 days later.
I'll be trekking to the Holiday Inn after the screening tonight. 15 minutes.
I'll be right there.
We can run the stairs for a while if you like.
We've got another gentleman on the aisle there.
Why did you climb in the dark?
Amazing.
Why didn't I?
Why did you? Well, why
Well, I
did?
didn't actually.
Why did the others climb in the dark?
Why did the others? Well, because the weather. The weather is the timing thing up there. There is no lifeline. There is no helicopters that can go at that altitude. It's not going to make it up there. Well, I mean, maybe the helicopter could somehow, but try to find one, it's impossible. So it is strictly weather on the weather. And that was the window that we had to go, and they took it, and it was beautiful, and it worked out really well.
Because doesn't it generally get worse as the day goes on? So you want to be there as early in the day as possible.
Yeah, you generate a lot of heat on the way up, and so it's nice to be in the cool part of the day. And also, if you arrive in the morning at the summit, then you have more of the day to get back down again. And that's a nice thing as well. And the weather does generally, it's interesting because the Himalaya, the Everest region, is on the same latitude as Tampa, Florida. So it gets that afternoon thunderstorm buildup almost every single day. And so we try to get up at the top and back down again before the weather and any chaos ensues. Yeah.
Interesting. I see someone kind of just in the middle. There you go.
Excellent storytelling, first off, absolutely fantastic. And I know all of us have a question on our mind as we were watching the credits. What is a production baby?
I think Michael can answer that question because he had a production baby about a month ago. And he was single during this climb, so... Michael, can you answer that question?
Well, I now appreciate it. It was actually our editor who had a child during the editing process, and as a producer-director, I didn't have enough sympathy because I didn't have kids of my own, and I didn't realize what it was to have kids. I just know how to have movies. And so he had a kid, and I said, well, you know, take a computer home, work on it there.
So foolish.
Take a couple days off. And you know, he was actually really dedicated. I have to say that it was impressive because when I had a kid and now, you know, this is like my first hall pass is to come here. And that's after 7 weeks. So yeah, we have a production baby as well now. It's not in the credits because he didn't exist when we were making credits.
So babies who arrived during the process of
Yeah, that's exactly it.
here.
Were there any issues getting down or not?
Issues getting down? Yes. Yes, actually there was. Matt Diamond had, and you saw in the movie when they put him in, it was actually a portable recompression chamber. Well, he started getting altitude sickness, really stressed himself because he was the guy on the walker, the hand crutches. Yeah, we had to put him in as soon as he got down to where I was at. We had to put him in a chamber, and then actually we had to walk him down to the next level, and then we put him on a donkey. I took a donkey the rest of the way and then threw him out. But talking about the heart and soul about making it. And also Sherm, who tried to summit Everest 5 times, or made it his 5th time or 6th time?
5th time he made it, yeah.
5th time he made it. And he was, how old was
He was 64 at the time.
You know better than I, when you were the one who climbed it.
It was funny because the Kathmandu newspaper said, the oldest man in the world climbs Mount Everest. It was close. And 11 years later, he climbs Lobuche. And then he was truly the oldest man in the world. But yeah, he got pretty sick up there. But his Everest climbs, it was funny because he never intended to be the oldest to climb Everest, because that's what it really was. It was 64 when he climbed, and at the time it was the oldest. And he just said, well, it was my 5th attempt. I was just trying to get it done, and I just got old in the process. So, yeah, he had a little trouble.
Yeah. Cody, how long did you train for the expedition? And you got any dirt and funny stories you can tell us that weren't even part of the film?
I think that we started training in May of earlier that year. It was myself, Ike, and Steve who did the first training session, which ended up being with some of Michael Brown's students, but I first realized that they were pretty phenomenal. I wouldn't say another word, but pretty phenomenal. And they were just running up the mountain then, and I was just like, oh, really? I'm hurting right now. And we were in a storm, so we started then back in May, and then we did another training session where we did St. Mary's Glacier. We did St. Mary's Glacier, and besides that, you know, I live downtown. There's lots of stairs to go up. There's not a lot of stuff wide, so did that, and I've always stayed in pretty much shape. And I think everyone kind of did the same thing. They give us as a matter of fact, I think they did give us individual training schedules depending on our terrain, because we're all from different states. I have mountains where I'm from, so I can go ride mountains, but some people are on flatlands, so, you know, they can do the stadium. So they were on top of it. They were pretty much on key on giving each one recommendations for training for this. Does that answer the question?
Dirt.
Just a couple more questions. Someone over here.
Michael, what are the distribution plans for the film?
You know, I would actually rather have Don take the question, because he's been more closely connected to Red Flag Releasing and how we're doing this. He knows the details better than I do.
Yeah, we're fortunate because documentaries don't always get distributors, and we found a distributor who a couple years ago did a movie called Restrepo, which is a fantastic film. And so we brought them on board, and they're our team now. And in a funny way, this is almost the follow-on to Restrepo about returning home again. So we have a theatrical release on November 2nd in New York and Los Angeles and parts of Ohio. Visit us on our webpage, highgroundmovie.com, and it has all the screenings. We've had an amazing reaction from the military. The Veterans of Foreign War has, on a national level, has been really supportive to us. We come out on November 6th, very soon, on DVD and streaming, and pretty much wherever you shop for your media, be it Netflix or online at Amazon, it'll be there. And we've had great support from retailers too. Best Buy and Walmart have bought in on this film in a way that we haven't seen before in preparation for Veterans Day. So the reaction's been great, and I think if you look forward that first week of November, you'll see it around. If not, check us out on our website.
Okay, one last really awesome question. Who's got the very best question? Someone in the balcony have an awesome question. We're not ignoring you up there. You're just shy.
There's one down here to the left.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it. Yes.
Are you going to have a release with IMAX? It seems like this is the perfect film to reach the large screen and IMAX distribution.
The question is, will we have a release with IMAX? There's a number of factors in that, and probably not is the answer. Partially because the way the movie was filmed doesn't necessarily hold up on the big screen, because it was filmed on Canon 5Ds and smaller cameras. So even though it looks beautiful tonight in this amazing venue, it doesn't necessarily hold up when you blow it up to IMAX. And those screens are very hard to get because they tend to show the Avengers and things like that. So
nice.
we're grateful.
Right right down the street at White River State Park, and we
Yeah.
would love to show.
That's great, thank you. I appreciate the thought, though.
Well, thank you, everyone.